So when I evaluate or contemplate on what unconditional love is, it's very incongruent with what our society shows us it is. It's very incongruent um with what I experienced, right? So my first experience with unconditional love is, of course, with my mom and my siblings. And it's always been a very beautiful experience, but it has also been incongruent. And so going out into the world, it's like when you ask people what is unconditional love, they all know what it is. But yet, as beings, we do not know how to navigate the concept of unconditional love. Like, we do not know how to navigate loving someone no matter what. No matter what. There's always stipulations, there's always deal breakers, right? And even with family, someone does something that is not accepted in society or not accepted morally, even though on paper, even though in a book it may say to love unconditionally, we don't know how to do that. And therefore, for me, within my practice, within meditation and yoga and movement and breath and sound, my core goal is, how can I leave the situation loving myself unconditionally, teaching my clients how to love themselves unconditionally? Because if we first start with ourselves, which is very challenging, I have a hard time showing myself grace, right? Because there's the you know better, or if you know better, you do better. But it's hard on the mind, the body, and soul when you can't forgive yourself. And so for me, when I take that into my daily practice of learning to forgive myself, and once I start to forgive myself for my mistakes or for my decisions, or even if lots of times when we do things that are morally wrong or not accepted in society, it's not an intentional thing. It's still us seeking love. It's still us seeking acceptance. It's still us chasing a high. It's still us trying to feel good. And so if you're able to show yourself love, you're able to show yourself grace. And it doesn't happen instantaneously. It's a process and it's a journey. And it's shitty. And it's dark. And it sucks. But when you go through that process with yourself, it's easier to go through that process with other people. It's easier to forgive other people because you see yourself, or you see yourself within them. Yeah. So if you find yourself with someone that you love, and let's say they've done something to you, maybe they haven't done something to you, maybe they've just done something that you don't accept of, or that you don't approve of, or you disagree on. Maybe putting yourself in their shoes, asking yourself, well, what would I have to have gone through or experienced, or in order to have made that same decision or made a similar decision? And see how that plays out. Like, if this had happened, oh yeah, I would have definitely did that. No doubt about it. It's so easy for me to be like, oh, I would never murder someone, right? Because I don't have those thoughts. But if I play a scenario where I'm trying to protect my family or my loved ones and it's in self-defense, yes, I would. You can't say never, right? And so for me, it's like being able to show grace in that way to myself of like, oh, I would have made a poor decision based off of my emotions and based off of the people that I love and I want to protect and based off survival. And that would have put me in that state of mind to do something like that. And even though I haven't physically done something like that, I forgive myself, right? I forgive myself for this hypothetical scenario. And within forgiving myself in that hypothetical scenario, then I'm able to look at that person that has done that in real life and extend that forgiveness to them. I'm able to be like, oh wow, I could have I could have done something like that. And I'd want someone to forgive me. I'd still want someone to know like I made a mistake or I wasn't in my right state of mind. And I think until we start to move into that frequency of forgiveness, that frequency of love is what's going to propel us spiritually. I think a lot of people have been trying to, for a very long time, way, because I'm a baby, way before me, trying to express to people what love really is. When we talk about love, we also talk about the love between a man and a woman. And I was always taught that the love between a man and a woman is only conditional. It can never be unconditional. That's one of my programs. And I didn't like the program because I've been always such a loving person. I've always believed in love. I've always believed in the gushy love and the romantic love, the love that we've been shown on TV and in books. Um, that's fantasy. It's not real, but I still believed in it. And I loved poetry and I loved the idea of you meaning something to another being. Always just felt so beautiful. But in real life, things are beautiful, but then things are not because you're with a real person that's not perfect, that's out here trying to figure it out like you, that's dealing with childhood trauma, that's dealing with PTSD from their jobs, that's dealing with repressed emotions, everything that we're all dealing with. When you pair with another person, you're taking that on and you tell them, I love you. But the minute that they do something, again, that you don't agree with, or you do something that's against societal norms, or they do something that insinuates that they're not choosing you, and merely it's just them trying to figure it out. I don't think anyone's ever purposely trying to hurt another being. I think it's them, it's us trying to figure it out. And so I say this when it comes to the love frequency, when it comes to relationships, and I've learned this through the people I interact with, I've learned this in my personal relationships, is if your partner or the person that you are connected or engaged with, if you can think of something that they can do that would just be like, yep, nope, can't stick by their side if they do that, it's not real love. It's conditional love. It's not unconditional love. And I know, and a lot of people don't want to hear that. No, who wants to hear, hey, you love that person, but not really. Not really. Because when shit gets dark and when shit gets thick, and they say, when through thick and thin, most people can't get through the thick. They don't even know, they don't even have the capacity to understand what thick means, right? So it can be very triggering. And I think if we start to move into our relationships, our commitments, our partnerships with being like, hey, what is it that this person could do that would be like, nah, I'm out. And if you truly feel that way, then it's like, wow, we're either we haven't made it that there yet in that love, that level of love. It doesn't mean like, hey, it's not going to work with you guys. It just means like you're still growing in love, right? You're still growing. And maybe one day you'll get to a space where you can look that person in the eyes and say, I love you no matter what. No matter what you do, I still love you. And I think within our platonic relationships, our familiar relationships, and our romantic relationships, when we get to a place where we can have disagreements, where a person can vote for someone that we don't agree with, when a person can like certain artists or listen to certain podcasts or just having a different belief system, right? Believing in a different God, having a different way that they practice their spirituality, and it not irk you and not bother you. You just be like, that's their belief. It may not be my belief, but does that mean that I love them less because their belief is different? And not holding so much anger and mm, so much aggression towards diversity, towards different opinions, towards different choices. Once we are able to be in the field of other people and not feel triggered by them being different, not being triggered by their mistakes, not being triggered by their crimes, that is when we truly begin to accept, and with that acceptance comes love. And I'm still learning this. I am in no way, shape, or form perfect. I have struggled with when someone hurts me. I've experienced this in friendships. When someone hurts me, learning how to distance myself and still love them without making them feel like I don't love them anymore. Because the truth of the matter is I still love them. I still love them. Even if I don't talk to them anymore, or if I'm not friends with them anymore, or if they're not in my life, or if we disagree, I still have so much love in my heart. But I want to learn how to practice that without, because once I distance myself, it can come off as like, as not non-loving, right? So I'm practicing that. I just wanted to share that. I just wanted to speak that out loud. And I hope that this helps you in your day-to-day practice with your frequency when it comes to unconditional love.